Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Not Your Average Mama. So a couple of weeks ago, I let you guys know that my son was in the hospital and all that good stuff. So if you didn't already know that he's in the hospital, this is an update video. You need to go back and watch the other video. I will link that in the description box down below for you guys. So today is about the 30th day that he's been in the hospital. He's at Nemours Children's Hospital in Orlando. I come home pretty much every Friday night, and my husband goes to the hospital and stays with our son, and I take my daughter to gymnastics. Kind of gives my husband a chance to hang out with my son by himself and give them some son-dad time, and then it gives me and Leah some mommy and daughter time, and I just take her to work. She works as a gymnastics coach down the street from our house, so I just come home and actually sleep in my own bed for once a week. So I just felt like doing something to my hair, and everybody's calling me and texting me, asking me for updates on him, and it's easier for me to just put a video out. So that's what I'm gonna do today. A lot has happened. So originally we had no idea what really was going on with him. And about 2 days ago, he started vomiting again, and his fevers kept spiking. Not anything major as far as the fever goes, very, very low grade, but they were still there, and that he shouldn't just be running around with random fevers, and he is. So that and his white blood cell count is too high, and it's been too high pretty much the entire time we've been there. It's went down a couple of times, but then it just goes right back up, which means that he still has infection. So to figure out exactly where the infection is coming from, make sure that it is the abscess that it's coming from and all that good stuff, we had to do some diagnostics. So let me go back to the original time that we found the abscess. So we found the abscess, they did a CT scan with what they call contrast, which is basically injecting him with dye through his IV. And they were able to see bubbles in his intestines. That's called pneumatosis. So they said he has pneumatosis, which had come from a virus that he got. And on top of that, his appendix has perforated, which means that it has tiny holes in his appendix. And normally, if you just have a perforated appendix, you can take antibiotics and stuff if it's not that bad, and it will close up on its own and you'll be just fine. But his has a giant calcified stone in it, in his appendix, that is holding one of the perforations open. So it will not close up on its own. So he will have to have his appendix removed, but they cannot remove it until the intestines has completely healed. So they cannot take away the appendix from the diseased intestines. It won't heal if they do it that way. And there's a chance of them leaving some of it behind. So originally they said if we do surgery on his intestines to remove the diseased intestines, then we are going to have to remove a large part of his intestines, and that's just not what we want to do. So we're going to hit it with all the antibiotics we can possibly hit it with, and the most potent antibiotics we have, and see what that does. So that's what we did, and we thought it was working because he's been doing this thing where he gets like he's doing amazing and he gets so much better, and then all of a sudden the next day he is down again and he can't do anything, and he's in a lot of pain and this and that and the other. So the first CT, they went in, they found the abscess, a very large pocket of abscess in the bottom part of his stomach. So they, or his abdomen, say that. That abscess, they put a drain into. They said there is a large, or another abscess toward the top part, so by his liver, his lungs, all that. There's another abscess up there. We don't know if they're connected, but we think they are, and it should come out with the rest of them. And that's what happened with the first time. So they put the drain in, it worked for a couple of days, and then it kind of just stopped draining. So then they did an ultrasound. They thought that it stopped draining because it was all out. But again, fever spikes, vomiting, all that stuff happened. And they said, let's go ahead and scan it and see where we're at as far as draining the abscess. So they did an ultrasound. And at this point, we thought we were going home that weekend. We thought he was getting the drain out. They had took him off the TPN and lipids, which is the way they're feeding him because he's not eating due to, you know, feeling so nauseous all the time because of all the infection. He's not eating. So we thought, you know, he's going home. We thought, you know, it was the middle of the week. He's going home. He was so excited. We were so excited the whole night. We were basically planning for him to come home. And then they did an ultrasound and they said, oh no, it's not draining, but it's not because it's over. It's because it is stopped up. So what happened was it had a lot of fibrin, which is basically like dead tissue and fat that has died off due to the infection from the virus. And it got stuck in the tube. So if you imagine a straw with holes on the side of it that is sucking in stuff, and you get stuff in those holes, it's going to quit sucking. So they took that drain out and put a different type of straw in it that had bigger holes in it. And they put that in. And at the same time, while they were in there and they had that dye in there, they found the larger abscess at the top, or it had turned into a larger abscess. So it went from a small bubble abscess to the size of a mango. It was close to his liver and basically sitting on his lung. So he wasn't breathing properly either. And they were afraid he was going to get pneumonia. So his lung had, his right lung had collapsed, and he wasn't breathing like he's supposed to. He could still breathe. He acted like he didn't have any problem, but he was breathing hard, and everything made him winded. So just sitting up in the bed, he would get winded. So he had the one the size of a mango that they drained a lot, like, I don't know, 150 mLs out of that one where the mango was. They cleaned out the other drain. They put, replaced it with the new one, and they put the new one in where the mango sized one was, right? So we waited a couple of days to let that do its magic, and he seemed to be doing good. No fever, no vomiting, like he was doing great. Then comes day like 3 or 4 after that, and that was after his second CT scan, and they put the second drain in. So he's already had what, three, sorry, my cat is doing something dumb. So he's already had like 3 CT scans by now, and he's been in the operating room for the 2 drains. And when I say he's been in the operating room, they're not just inserting the drains. They have to put him to sleep, put a tube down his throat, all that stuff. So these are actual, you know, surgeries with all the regular risks of regular surgeries. So he goes on and still has the fevers, white blood counts up. And between this time, he has lost a lot of blood. So they have to give him a blood transfusion. That goes fine, and we're thinking, okay, he's been feeling not so good, but after this transfusion, he's going to be feeling great. You know, he's going to be feeling so much better and have all this energy, blah, blah, blah. So he gets the transfusion, and no, he doesn't. He does not have any energy anymore. He still has no energy. His body is just not, it's not healing. So, and mind you, this whole time, we've been in the hospital for about 20-something days at that point. And he's over it. He's so over it. This hospital has so many things to offer these children for being in here this long. And he wants no part of it. He doesn't want they call it child life. He doesn't want the child life people in there. He doesn't want their video games. They have Xboxes in every room. He doesn't want to play the Xbox. He doesn't want to see anybody when visitors come. He's just aggravated. He's frustrated. He's upset. I would too if I had to sit in the hospital in a hospital bed with a broken arm on top of everything else and in pain most of the time and feeling sick to my stomach. I mean, I would too. So he's pretty much just depressed or whatever. So we've got a person coming in and speaking to him and, you know, trying to help him out with his moods and and his mental health, basically, on top of all the other doctors coming in. So we're taking care of that as well at the same time. So after the blood transfusion and he gets sick again, he starts the fevers, all that, the surgeon comes in and speaks to me and says, okay, we're going to do another scan and we're going to put even more contrast in so we can get a very good picture of exactly what's going on in here, because we need to know if these abscesses are going to be popping up all over the place, if we're just going to be chasing abscess, or if we need to go the other route and just open him up and clean him out, which we don't want to do, because then you have to cut through the abdomen. It's a longer healing process and he'll have more issues later on if they did that. So they didn't want to open him up. So, but they already had the 2 drains. So they said, we can also just hit him with more antibiotics and sit and wait. And I said, no, because he's going crazy. We can't sit and wait. He needs to know that something is going to be done. He needs action of some sort. So they say, okay, well, we have option number 3, which is we can go in and through the holes that are already there and have him on the contrast so they can see what they're doing as they go in and see why the bottom drain is not draining again, which they had already suspected it was more of that fibrin, and see what if the top one has improved, and see if there were any perforations in his intestines. So has his intestines perforated at this point, and what's going on with his appendix, because by this point they didn't know about the one portion being held open by the stool. They didn't know about that yet. So whenever they did the newest CT, which was just a couple days ago, they decided that he was, they were just going to go and basically explore and see what was going on. So this is more of like a diagnostic surgery, so they can get an idea of exactly what's going on. So they go through and, they go through and do that, and they come back to us and they show us all of his CTs, and they give us side-by-side comparisons so we can see how much is actually going down. As far as the abscess are going down like really good. And they find out that the top one that they didn't think was connected is actually connected. So that was really, really good. And the bottom one has more fibrin in it. Who would have thunk it? So it has so much fibrin in it, the doctor, meaning he pulled out the tube. Hold on. Unplug the flat iron. He pulled out the tube, and it had so much fibrin in it that he almost dissected it on the table in the operating room so he could make sure that there weren't any stool that had come out from his intestines or anything like that. So not only did they insert the dye, but they were also pushing on his stomach to make anything push out from anywhere it's not supposed to. And the only place that it did push out from was his appendix. And that's how they found out there was a very large calcified piece of poop, essentially, in his appendix that is holding open his the hole and won't let the hole close up. So the way he explained it is basically this. You have your appendix, and then it will fill up and it'll expand like a balloon. But then whenever it is not full, it closes. So it'll close around that calcified piece of poop and won't let anything escape. So as long as it doesn't expand, he's okay as far as any more of the bacteria getting into his body. The thing is killing the infection, which is draining the drains. So what he did this time was he cleaned out all that fibrin again. They know that the two abscess are connected and are working together. So even if the bottom one clogs up again, it doesn't matter because it's going to come out the top one. So, and the top one is draining really, really good. So that's where we're at now. When I left on Friday, his spirits were up. He was much better mentally, because they had went in and done stuff, and he kind of has a plan. He thinks that he's going to be out by 4th of July. The doctors are kind of pushing for him to be out by 4th of July, but there are absolutely no guarantees, and it only depends on him, the drains. If all the drains drain out and they can take the drains out, then he can come home. But if the drains do not drain, then he can't come home. So I have updated as much as I possibly could. If you don't see me updating on Facebook, that's because there's nothing to update. We're just sitting in the hospital waiting on medicine to work and drains to drain. That's it. As far as his eating goes, they came in last night and told us that he does not have to eat. The TPN and the lipids are giving him all the nutrients he needs. He's not really losing weight or anything. So he can just live on that until these drains come out and he's ready to eat. Because every time he's tried to eat, he throws up every time. So that's telling them his body's not ready to eat. So they're like, if he wants to eat, let him eat. But if he doesn't want to eat, then leave him alone. Don't try to make him eat. And that's what we were doing before, because we were thinking if he doesn't get off the TPN and lipids, he can't come home. But that is the case, but that's not the case. They can take him off the TPN and lipids, and then he should want to eat, and his body should accept what he eats after he gets all the infection out. So as of right now, that's all we're doing, is just waiting on these drains. So if anything else comes up, guys, I will make another video of him coming home. Hopefully that's what's going to happen. I'll shoot you guys with another video next week of him coming home. But if not, if something else major happens or something, then I'll update you guys. Otherwise, make sure you're checking my Facebook. And like I said, if you don't know what happened from the beginning, then you need to watch the very first video, and I'll link that in the description box below. So thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for all the prayers. Thank you for all the thoughts. Thank you for all the people who have bought him things and sent him cards and all that stuff. He really does appreciate all that stuff. So thank you guys for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.